RBL Weekly back on the air, week 4 of the 2023 season, and we are coming to you from Austin, Texas. By the time you see this, we will have run 2 successful, hopefully, shows, one tonight at the Vulcan Gas Company and one tomorrow night, the first big RBL Roast Battle League event at the Comedy Mothership, the new club in Austin, Texas. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, the brilliant Sarah Keller.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. What I usually say, like, lovely or charming. I have a whole thesaurus.
Yeah, I like brilliant.
We'll stick with brilliant.
Probably because it seems the least, like,
Sexist.
real.
It's there's a modicum of truth in that.
Oh,
I think
thank
you're at least kind of brilliant. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm great. I've been in Texas for like 3 days now because my dad lives here. So I was in Hill Country and we went to Bandera, which is the cowboy capital of the world, yesterday. And obviously I was in heaven.
Yeah, you are in your fucking element down here.
I love Texas.
This place sucks. I hate it so much. But you're fish in water right now. This is
100%. Like I look at actual Texans and I'm like, you're not Texas enough.
Yeah. Dude, the second you cross in, your frills increase by like 40% on all your outfits.
I only brought, I think, 1 item with fringe this time. Last time I was here, I had 8 different fringe items for a weekend.
So by the end of tomorrow night, you'll have like a big obnoxious cowboy hat, like the 30-gallon.
I almost bought one yesterday when I was with my dad, but they're really expensive.
Spurs. Oh, yeah.
Like,
no, hats are no joke.
$600.
Yeah.
For a hat.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I don't look that good in hats.
I believe that when Roast Battle blows up and this becomes the biggest sport in the world, you are going to spend most of your income on hats. That's my belief.
Boots.
Yeah. Spurs. Yeah. Your chaw. You're going to start like this
start chewing?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, we're here in Texas. We got 2 big shows. This is exciting stuff. It's our first RBL official thing, in Austin. We've run events here before. We did South by Southwest, I think 4 or 5 different times now throughout the history of Roast Battle. This is my first time in the city outside of South by for Roast Battles, and from what I understand, it's a very different experience, so I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah, it's quieter here, and you can go on all of the streets, which is nice.
Yeah, dude. This place is awful at South by. If anybody's watching this, don't ever come here during South by.
Yeah.
It is the absolute worst. Unless you like being run over by like the homeless people on scooters. If you're into that, South by. That's the tenets. It's like film, music, tech, comedy, homeless fuckers on scooters. That's what they do. Okay, I'm digging myself a hole here. I don't know what. I just got off the plane and I was like, I'm just going to shit on the place the entire time I'm there. Yeah, for no reason. I don't know. Let's get into some battles. How about that?
Do it.
Let's jump into it. This is week 4 of the season, and we start with a familiar face at the number 5 spot. A familiar face both in terms of city and competitor. One of our old nemesis. Leah Kayajanian, now out of Chicago. We both battled her in Los Angeles, and she was a part of the tournament that just wrapped there. And the battle we're about to air was one of her preliminary rounds, I think first or second round.
Okay.
This is Leah Kayajanian, who we know very well, versus a guy I don't really know named Greg Bartusiak. It's the number 5 battle this week. Let's check it out.
You guys, I'm happy to report that the only thing Greg and I have in common is I'm a mom and he lives with his. My 3-month-old son's gonna move out the house before Greg does.
I save money on rent, all right? Leah is Armenian, if you don't know. Leah is Armenian. Her grandmother survived the Armenian genocide. And after watching Leah on stage, you kind of wish that she hadn't.
You look like the guy they send to let people into their office buildings at night. He's got a ring of keys. He's got a fucking ring of keys. Don't go on stage without your key ring, Greg. And your carabiner.
I might have to shotgun a beer or something up here in the meantime. Just have them in case. Leah started stand-up comedy 17 years ago in Oklahoma City at a club that no longer exists, right? So you could say that Timothy McVeigh wasn't the worst Oklahoma City bomber.
That was a good one, dude. That was a good one, dude. Greg's last relationship ended with his ex throwing all his belongings out the window. I'm so sorry that happened to you, dude. Replacing your wardrobe must have cost you ones of dollars.
I go thrifting. Okay. Leah has a TV credit from her time in Los Angeles, right? And her husband is actually a barber who actually had a lot to do with her TV appearance because a lot of her set was actually cut out.
At least I have a credit. What's yours? Former host of a canceled open mic?
Man.
I'm sorry. That was mean. You guys might know Greg from petting a baby bunny so hard it died.
All right, let's see what's next. Leah's got Leah has 5 tattoos. 5 tattoos. One of them being a tramp stamp from the Foo Fighters album, The Color and the Shape. Yeah, it's appropriate because after 2 kids, doctors are wondering the color and the shape of her pussy.
I can tell you.
Last joke.
Red and fine. I don't know. You guys, I recently met the 50-year-old man that helped Greg write these roast jokes. Jesus, Greg. Between him and your parents, you're kept afloat by more old white people than a North Dakota Cracker Barrel.
Never actually been to a Crackle Barrel. Leah just gave birth to her 2nd kid, right? 2nd kid, big accomplishment, big round of applause. Gave birth to her 2nd kid. That must have been the most satisfying time she's ever blown her nose.
My nose is so big, Greg's unemployed ass is trying to live in it. Sorry.
Give it up for them, everyone.
Sorry.
So that was number 5, Chicago, Leah versus Greg. I got to tell you, that was my 2nd time watching the battle. First time, I thought it was pretty close. I don't know if that's like heightened expectations of somebody. Like if you see, if you see the Harlem Globetrotters play, you expect them to win by 100, right? So I think I kind of expected Leah to win by a lot, and I was kind of like taken aback that it was, closer than I expected. Watching it back, I didn't think it was that close. I thought Leah had it handily the entire time. The writing was maybe, comparable, but just the stage presence and sort of swagger. Greg was sort of like, stumbling a little bit up there. It seemed like he was not as comfortable with the format. What did you think?
100%. That's exactly what I wrote down was Leah really takes her time and she has a confidence she's up there I fucking know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've got this. I'm going to say my jokes and y'all are going to listen because they're really good. And Greg, I think if he had gone up against someone that wasn't Leah and didn't have that settled confidence of a truly seasoned battler, he would have seemed very confident, but up against her, it did come across a lot more nervous.
Yeah. No, I mean, you see it all the time. 2 people have their phones out and they're reading off their phones and it's fine. Nobody even notices. But if you have one person who has all their shit memorized, they're ready to go, the other person is reading off their phone, it's magnified. Greg was more prepared than, frankly, we see a lot of battlers.
100%.
But still, the couple times he went to his notes next to Leah, it really, you could see the difference sort of in seasoning.
Yeah, it's oh man, I'm going to do a sports reference and it's going to be bad. But it would be I would think a really good high school basketball player playing against Michael Jordan in his peak.
Sure.
You're
you got it.
You're so good, but
Yeah, no, you got it. That's kind of how that one played out. great stuff from Leah. I love the different styles that she's able to employ, the different ways she sets her jokes up. It's never formulaic. She hits a lot of different topics. And the last note I have on that battle, it is a really tough thing to battle somebody and try to hit them for a TV credit.
Yeah.
When you don't
have
one.
100%.
It's the most easy rebuttal. It's the easiest thing to flip possible, to just be like, well, you didn't even do the thing that you're saying I didn't do well enough.
Right.
And she was ready with that. I don't know if he always has a carabiner with keys.
I mean, that was
Yeah.
perfection.
Yeah.
One of the notes I made was I am enjoying the different styles that we see in the different cities, and like especially one of the things I like that's changing is, I feel like when we were coming up, it was very joke. This is the joke. It's written. We deliver it. That's it. Where now it feels more like a comedy set almost, where they're repeating it. They're talking to the audience a little bit more, and when done correctly, it's fun, and I like it. I like the change of pace.
Those 3 words are very important.
When
done
correctly.
It's tough to
100%.
pull off, but the greats can, and she certainly did there. And by the way, props to Greg.
And Greg did.
I thought he did really
had
well.
a couple moments where he did the same thing.
Big time to hang in there, and you can see it's just new. Whereas somebody, and he got like a big reaction for like the Oklahoma City bomber. I know that's one that like a decade in we're like, oh, bombing, but fuck that. He made the crowd laugh. Like that's the important thing. I thought his jokes were good. I want to see more of him on the podcast. Let's move to number 4 now, and we are going to go to Los Angeles. Now, Leah Kayajanian is a legend in the game. The next guy we're about to feature is not. I'm talking about Lou Varum. One of my favorites, though. One of my favorite people. He's been doing Roast Battle for forever. He has these wild high highs. I've heard that crowd chant, Lou. I've seen him get standing ovations, and I've seen other times where I'm like, he's never done comedy before. I've never seen such a wild deviation, but he was on point in this one. I know you weren't there this past week. I haven't watched it back on film, but I saw it live in the room. I was blown away. Great battle between Lou Varum and Jake Hart, who is brand new, his second battle ever, and these guys put on a show. Lou versus Jake. Let's check it out.
This is Lou. And this is Jake, everybody. Are we ready for this? Yeah! Are we fucking ready for this? Yeah! It's one of my favorites! Battle! Come on! Do it! Ding, 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 ding.
I'm going to say something that's never been said before. Lou Varum reminds me of Prince Harry. He'd be more attractive if he wasn't such a little bitch. And his mom's dead.
I thought all gay guys were supposed to be like super hot or whatever, but nope. Jake's from Colorado, but he could make the Rocky Mountains go soft.
I may be gay, but you're a faggot.
That was my nickname in high school. Okay.
Just like Kimberly Kardashian, Lou is half Armenian. Unfortunately, the other half of him is Jewish, so Kanye can't decide whether to marry, fuck, or kill him.
Jake's mom and dad disowned him for being gay. So sad you went through all that trouble coming out of the closet just for the biggest dicks in your life to be your parents.
Keep it going for Gay Romano.
Thank you, Homo Baggins.
Thank you, Mickey Jew Eyes.
Guys, give it up for Joel Kim Booster Seat.
Thank you, Lou Diamond Syphilis.
I don't have any more of them.
Lou is like an apartment in Glendale. He may be nice, but he'll never be cool. He often smells weird. And living somewhere inside of him is a closeted Armenian man.
I mean, Jake, the longer I look at you, the worse it gets. Okay. You look like what it feels like to get dumped by text message.
You look like you're on the spectrum and work the spectrum.
That's the bell, but keep it going. Jake Hart. Who's Barham, everybody? Jake Hart. This is a good night, Jeff. This is a hell of a night. What's going on?
Okay. Jake's parents are cops, but even pigs don't snort as much as you do. I just hope that you don't OD so you can save your family the embarrassment of buying a child-sized coffin for a 33-year-old.
Lou's parents, I'm sorry, Lou doesn't have parents. Lou's in-laws insist that Lou is the biggest mistake their daughter ever made, which is really says a lot when you consider, and this is true, that she quit her career as a high-powered attorney and is currently enrolled in art school.
That's incredible.
Right?
Like both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was genuinely like, I was really impressed with it's so funny. We just talked about sort of stage presence in the last one, and Lou has found a way to make this like aw shucks thing where like even his overtime joke, which was maybe the biggest haymaker in the battle, he literally was just like leaned over and kind of like reading it off the notes on the stool. And it somehow worked.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about, I mean, you have to be who you are in roast battle, and you can't fake it. Whether that is a confident person or a not confident person like Lou, like if you're truly yourself, the audience will usually get on board with you, even if you're not a likable character, but you're that.
Yeah.
People see that authenticity and they gravitate towards it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's comedy in general, but
100%.
like definitely even more so with roast battle is like who you are on stage has to be like an extension of who you actually are. I think the audience can sniff out like inauthenticity. And Lou, you know, and Jake are both 100% comfortable in sort of who they are up there, or uncomfortable to the point where it does a full 180 and makes sense somehow.
Yeah, that might have been the most adorable battle I've seen. Like, I wanted to put both of them in my pocket and feed them M&Ms.
Hilarious. Yeah. It was, I mean, but it was vicious. That's the thing. Like, it was vicious, top to bottom. I really, I loved it. And I got to say, this is week 4 of the season. This is the strongest crop of battles we've had yet. I really feel like in any previous week, that's top 2 at worst.
100%. Yeah. I think, like, Lou has been doing this for a long time. We've seen him do really well.
Yeah.
Jake, I'm impressed. The jokes were well written. They were original. They were concise. Like for his second battle ever. Like, I mean, for any battle, that was incredible. For your second battle ever, he's somebody to watch for sure.
100%. And I think the second battle a lot of times is one that trips people up because I think 100%. They put a lot of energy into the first one. And then it goes well, and then they're like, "Oh, I was stressing over nothing. This shit's easy."
100%.
And then I've seen it so many times. Number 2 is the humbling one a lot of times, but not for Jake. He did great. Lou, for all our talk about, he's up and down, been a lot of up recently. He's on a win streak. He's had some big ones, beating digits, and then his most recent one, I don't even, it was against Brooks Towell from New York. Lou is kind of taking on all comers and sort of, putting some people in body bags. It's nice to see.
I love it.
Absolutely. So let's keep it moving right now. Now, we have a very American-heavy episode this week, but the number 3 battle is our only international one for this episode, and it is international as fuck. This comes to us from Scotland, and this was a very hard battle for me to rank because, frankly, I don't understand about 30 to 40% of the words in this battle. I don't know what they're saying.
I'm so excited.
We do this all the time where we're like, we didn't understand the local references. No, I don't understand the words. Now, we have these really fancy headphones here. I watched it on my laptop without headphones. Maybe this will help. Maybe not. All I know is the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying, but they're crushing. And the words I did understand were very funny. So I didn't know where to rank it and ended up at number 3. I could be wrong, could be 1, could be 5. I don't know. Only one way to find out. We're going to check it out now. This is going to be Mark Nelson versus Liam Farrelly from Roast Battle, Scotland. Here it is.
Ladies and gents, give up for Mark and Liam!
All right. Mark Nelson's favourite film is Jaws. He once told me he refers to his dick as the shark from Jaws because you can't see it 90% of the time, but when you do, it's because a child's been assaulted. Mark Nelson has appeared on TV more than any other comedian in this room, which is remarkable because no cunt in here knows who the fuck he is. Here's a list of things you will not recognise him from. He was on Don't Drop the Baton, which sounds like a prison drama starring Oscar Pistorius. He was also on The Comedy Underground and Bad Influencer. All these were cancelled. Nearly everything he has been on or written for has been cancelled. This man has had more cancellations than a 90s R&B singer. And when his TV dream didn't work out, he turned to his kids. He put his daughter in a web series at the age of 3. Then he got his son cast in a TV show at the age of 6. This man has pimped out so many children, he's going to qualify for his own fucking island soon.
Liam Farrelly, the answer to the question, what if Kevin Bridges was shite? Liam comes from Paisley, which has its benefits, mostly disability. Paisley was actually bombed really badly during World War II, which meant that there's a lot of gaps in their skyline. And if you want to see a visual representation of this, look at Liam's teeth. Paisley was also recently named City of Culture, and by culture, they mean that cheesy bacteria that grows under your foreskin.
Mark Nelson's teeth looks like they're in italics. When I first met Mark, I was 18. He pulled out a bag of coke and offered me some. When I told him I was 18, he told me I was too old for him and he put it away. Mark, with the amount of cocaine you do, you would assume you'd be skinnier. Mark Nelson is the answer to the question, what would Scarface be like if Tony Montana had fuck all money and suffered from erectile dysfunction?
Liam's sister is in a relationship with God, and by that I mean she's fucked an old man with a beard. No, Liam's sister is actually a nun, which came as a real surprise to Liam, because the last time he heard the word nun, he asked how many standard grades he's got. Liam's mum is in a wheelchair, which made his sister's decision to become a nun quite surprising, considering God hates his family. And Liam was recently on Live at the Apollo, although it wasn't his first appearance on TV. Him and his mum were in the last series of Robot Wars.
Mark Nelson once tried to commit suicide. Proving that while fighting mental illness, you can still come to the right conclusions. Mark Nelson threatened to commit... He threatened to quit stand-up last year, but much like when he threatened to kill himself, he didn't do it, and now we are all the ones suffering because of it. Mark Nelson is from Dumfries, I didn't know much about Dumfries, so I googled it and a list of 10 things to do, and Dumfries came up. Mark Nelson's mum is so fat she qualifies for 9 of them. The other one is suicide. You already failed at that. You've only got one thing left to do, Mark.
Liam likens his sister to a penguin. It's not for the way she dresses, more due to the waddle she has after being brutally fisted by a mother superior. Liam's mum also has that waddle, but that's normally because she shit herself. As you can tell, Liam has that distinctive Bridges whine. Liam's whine is so loud that he actually uses ships to get away from rocks. Liam's agent actually signed him up for elocution lessons. Now, you might not think they've worked, but before that, he just sounded like this.
Cut the stream off. Cut the stream off.
Someone screenshot it, please.
Mark Nelson is what Jeffrey Dahmer would call a challenging wank. Mark Nelson looks like the type of guy that would ruin a barbecue by talking about his divorce too much. Mark Nelson looks like the type of guy that would make your 15-year-old cousin feel uncomfortable at a barbecue. What I'm basically trying to say is, I really regret inviting Mark Nelson to my fucking barbecue.
Liam has recently had a child at 23, which means when that child is 10, Liam will be in prison. How can I describe Liam as a dad? Well, he treats his kid like a shopping trolley in a park, abandoned. Liam's kid is very much like his dentist. He never sees him. A lot of people wonder what got the two of them together, Liam and his kid's mum. Methadone. Sadly, he doesn't speak to the mother of his child anymore. Well, I suppose that's what you get for not specifying that the Ukrainian refugee should speak conversational English.
Not really much I can say back to that, because there is a pending court case about this. So. Mark Nelson won Scottish Comedian of the Year in 2006, which is stand-up comedy's equivalent to 9/11. Mark Nelson complained so much he was told by the Sumerians to just get on with it. Mark was actually late to this gig because he got stuck on a train that somebody threw themselves in front of. We were all shocked that it wasn't fucking Mark Nelson under that fucking train. There you go.
Liam has been described as the next big thing if you're talking about the cunt's forehead. I actually watched Ant-Man 3 in that fucking thing. Liam, you are one ugly bastard. Liam is so ugly, his communion photos needed filters. Liam is so ugly, his mum made herself disabled so she would never be at eye level. And finally, Liam Farrelly is so ugly his priest would only rape him through a glory hole.
I don't know about you, but if I was a judge, I would say one more joke.
Oh God, it was so many jokes.
So many. Four American battles, one international, and we might have more international jokes just based off of that one battle. I mean, that went on forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you get what I'm saying? Where I don't know how to rank that.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that if you have great camera work, great audio, a great crowd, and two people having fun on stage, I kind of just trusted it was funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there were a few things that I really liked. The whole bit about I really regret inviting him to my barbecue.
Yes.
And then like his mom's disabled because she didn't want to like look him in the eye.
Incredible.
There was some great stuff.
Yes.
But-
yeah, I think
yeah.
if we could have understood everything, it would have been like a lot of the battles where we see that many jokes where there were a few that hit super hard and then a couple that we could have done without. So maybe it was an advantage that we could only understand 40%.
Right.
I could understand all of the punchlines.
Why? You're ahead of me then. I don't know.
I did think it was a bold move that they called each other ugly. I'm like, you're the same guy.
Yeah.
Like if you showed me them separate, I'd be like, that's the same person back to back.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the white guy thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's when white guys battle other white guys. You're a pedophile, you're a racist, you're a rapist, you're ugly.
Well, white and like they're both redheaded with beards and like both look like they could be 28 or 64. Like
Yeah, they're Scottish. Dude.
Yeah.
That's what everybody looks like in Scotland, I think.
Well, really good. Some really, really good jokes, and the crowd loved it.
Yeah.
And they were having fun up there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's just an interesting general note, and it's not exclusive to Scotland or anything. You know, we're going to see New York later in the show, and I was over in New York last week, and I actually judged the battle we're about to see in a minute. And the New York Comedy Club insists on doing 3 rounds every battle, the undercards too. And like the main event was incredible, and I can't wait for you to see it. But the 2 undercards were like 3 good jokes spread across 13.
Yeah.
And we just saw how hard Lou and Jake hit with 3 apiece.
Yeah.
And they had the little like thank you so-and-so like back and forth in the middle, sort of the ping pong. But I don't know. Maybe it's my ADHD kicking in, but like I kind of like it when it's like quick and to the point, 3 jokes, 5 jokes. That was like 100. It was a lot.
Yeah. I get a little tired with that many jokes. Even when we used to do 3-rounders and they were only main events and it's only the best of the best, even then, if it wasn't like a knockdown, drag out, the best, battle of the year, they got a little.
It's really hard to write 9 bangers or 13 bangers or whatever. It's just so difficult. But props to those guys for having all of the elements outside of. I mean, the jokes were great, but outside of that, they had fun up there. They invited the audience in. They made it a very engaging experience for everybody. They had sort of I've never heard somebody rebuttal a joke by saying, I actually can't comment on that as there's a pending court investigation.
Yes. Chef's kiss.
That's the best. Shut it down. I don't even remember. I think it was Liam who said that.
It was Liam.
He won the battle for me just based on the realness of that moment.
Yeah, that was incredible.
So all the little intangibles those guys had in spades. Scotland, it's their second time in the first 4 weeks on the thing. Blown away by both of their battles. Really looking forward to seeing more from them. Let's go back stateside now to the city we're in, my favorite city in America. I love it so much. Austin, Texas. I'm so happy to be here. This is their first appearance on the show. What better week for them to make their debut? And I think we might have more great footage coming out of tonight, so I think we'll be seeing a lot more of them. But we start with this week. They're number 2. This is a battle from the Vulcan Gas Company from a few weeks ago. This is Mimi Meyer versus Michael Ridley. Let's check it out.
You guys, give it up for Michael one time. Or as I call him, Hipster Miyagi. Michael looks like Confucius if his only thought was, dude!
Alright, this one is gonna need a little bit of crowd participation. Y'all down? Hey, Mimi's so white! Mimi's so white, she asked her doctor if her yeast infection was gluten-free.
Was that the lady with the big pussy? Yeah!
Alex over here, dude. Big pussy, big pussy. Big pussy.
Let's see. Michael's family is from the Philippines, but he's from Philippine in his ass. This guy's gay.
Yo, Mimi swears she's pro Black Lives Matter, but every time she sees a black person, she goes, Chinkies!
Michael looks like he went to rehab for Jack Daniels and like he went to jail for Jack, Daniel, little Timmy, little Jimmy. He fucks kids! Oh my God.
Mimi has been recently banned from the mall for being a Karen at the Spencer Gifts. She wanted to speak with the manager.
Let's see. The only kids Michael won't fuck are Mexican because they can grow a better mustache.
Mimi looks like a second grade art teacher that sneaks in critical race theory. Last joke.
Michael's kind of a slimy guy. As an Asian, the only part of the dog he eats is its pussy.
It's the Wagyu beef of dogs. I don't know if you guys... I said Mimi was a teacher. She recently got fired for driving the Magic School Bus to the George Floyd Memorial. Something about forged permission slips. I don't know.
Keep it going! It's a joke off. One joke, Michael, Mimi, let's roast!
Mimi looks like the final boss of the Spirit of the Halloween.
Michael here, Michael is married. He actually met his wife at the club, which I think is cool. I didn't know you could meet girls on Club Penguin.
Okay, so we're gonna start with you because you judged that battle.
I was there.
Yeah, when this one started, you're like, "Oh, shit, I was here for this one." So, what was your decision in the room, and do you stand by it now? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
What do you think now? Now that you've seen, because
I thought
seeing
them
in the room and on film are two completely
100%.
different experiences.
I thought I went with Michael,
Mhm.
and I thought it was pretty like decisive.
Yeah.
God, I hope I'm right. But now watching it back, like it sounds a lot more even, and it sounded like Mimi definitely won at the end.
Yeah.
Like handedly. So, but I know I voted for whoever ended up winning, so that I had to have voted for
So
Mimi.
you were right.
I'm very confused.
You were right. Is
Yeah.
all that matters. You got it. You got it right.
No. I'm saying like I might have said one more joke. Even I might not have weighed in at the end.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Classic move.
Sorry. I
Classic
don't
move when you're too
remember.
scared to make a decision.
No.
One more joke.
I was like the last judge, and or it might not even have gone to me. I don't fucking know. It's all a blur.
So, a couple things about this battle. We don't talk a lot about defense on this show. I think we've talked about it a couple times, but how you're reacting to your opponent's jokes, whether that's time you're formulating like in your little Rolodex of like comebacks and shit, or whether you're trying to memorize your next joke, or whether you're just like really in the moment. Michael, I thought, played like impeccable defense. He sort of yes-ended everything she said, and kind of took some of the sting out of it. Because at the end of the day, like the idea behind this is to, insult the other person effectively. And if the other person is so clearly nonplussed by your attempts at insults, I think that translates. Like, I think it took
100%.
some of the stuff out of her jokes.
It takes the wind out of the sails a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like what we see with like a Zack Stein. Yeah, when you own the joke, it's harder to make it stick to you.
Yeah.
And I think now that I had a minute to think about the battle, I'm nervous to say this because I'm like afraid I'm going to see Michael in a couple of hours and I don't want to feel like a jerk. But like I remember in the room being like, God, you're so unlikable, but you're crushing.
Yeah.
Because like when he, when she did the like to what you're saying, when she did the like dog joke and he wiggled his tongue, I was physically uncomfortable.
I saw you.
From
you were
200 feet
revolted.
away.
Yeah.
And it happened again, but it's a screen. And I just remember being like, God, you're so fucking unlikable, and yet you're doing really well. And so I remember being very torn in the room on who to vote for because I didn't want to vote for Michael, but he was doing so well.
I think it was the tag. It's the Wagyu beef of dogs.
Yes.
That's funny enough where you can get away with like eating dog air pussy or whatever he was doing before he said that. Because I agree. When he did that, I was like, ugh.
Any man doing that at any point in time,
Sure.
uncomfortable
Yeah.
immediately. And to be like, I met him after. He was very sweet and not at all like that on stage. But on stage was the first interaction I had with him, and I was like, "Oh, I feel unsafe."
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I totally get that. I was creeped out by that dude for sure. But it was effective what he was doing.
100%.
And his joke writing was effective, even though I think if we're going to put a microscope up to it, in one joke, she's scared of black people. And then the next joke, she's teaching critical race theory. And then the next one, she's driving through the George Floyd thing.
Yes.
It was kind of like a roller coaster of like, you're
Who is
super
she?
woke and liberal and you're a hardcore conservative. It was kind of all over the place, unless I missed something, which is possible.
No, I felt the same thing. I didn't understand the George Floyd joke didn't work for me at all. It didn't make sense because I was coming off of the CRT joke. So I was like, wait a minute, she drove through it? Like I thought he said she drove to it, and I was like, how is that a joke? She just took the kids on a
The critical race theory joke was great.
perfection because, and honestly, I had written that as a judge joke. She looks like she's going to teach me CRT. So when he said that, it was a much better crafted joke. I was like, excellent. It was. Honestly, I don't have much more to say other than like an evenly matched, great back and forth.
Yeah, definitely agree. Great job for both of them. Tonight is going to be my first time at the Vulcan. I know you've been there a couple times. I'm very excited. It just looks like such a cool venue.
It's wild.
Great crowds. Every battle I've ever seen from there, the crowds sound insane.
Yes, I mean you could hear in that they're the big pussy lady. I remember that woman.
Oh yeah, what happened? There was a woman
Exactly.
with a big pussy. Fill me in.
She was having a good time, but she had 8 kids.
Okay.
And she was just wild.
Sure.
She was out there with her husband, and she was a Karen in the crowd for sure.
Okay.
But in a delightful way.
And the kids are just off doing whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they came out of her pussy, apparently.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I
they're
mean,
not there anymore.
Well, yeah. No, thank you for clarifying. No, I got that's where the big pussy came from, was all the kids just burrowing
Sliding
out.
out.
Yeah. Well, I hope she's there tonight.
I hope so too.
Sounds great. I'll be like, I've heard a lot about you and your massive, enormous, gigantic pussy. All right, let's head to New York for the #1 battle this week. And this is, if you've watched this show at all, these are 2 names you've heard a lot. Grace Leishman was the Chicago champion. She kind of took the roasting world by storm last year. She was like unbeatable. I think she won her first like 9 or 10 battles. Dan Wicks is a guy who helps us run New York. He's been on the show a whole bunch. Absolute weirdo in the best possible way.
Yep.
Brilliant joke writer. Really, really funny.
We both went to South by with me.
They both went to South by with you. We had them both out to LA in October for our big RBL event at the Comedy Store. So these are obviously 2 people we think very highly of.
Yes.
Because they always deliver entertaining battles. Now, I was going to be out. I was about an hour away from New York. Family wedding. And the New York guys hit me up and they said, hey, can you come out and judge? And I said, I don't know. Like an hour driving into the city, New York, it's kind of a nightmare. And then they said Grace and Dan is the main event. And I said, I'll be there. Like, I got to be there. I never got a chance to meet either of these guys either. All the flying them around and everything. I'm always out of town or I can't make it.
That's crazy.
So it was really exciting for me to be able to sit there and see this one. And they delivered. And I was wondering if maybe because I was in there, it felt like it was better than it was. I watched it back. It's every bit as good. I'm excited to see it. And again, 13 jokes. This is kind of a long one, long episode, but worth every minute you're about to spend watching this one. Number one battle this week, Grace Leishman and Dan Wicks from New York. Here it is.
All right, right off the top, Grace, I want to say thank you for taking a break from holding a torch next to Ellis Island. Grace is sexually liberated. Yeah, her type is tired, poor, and huddled masses. It's a very famous poem.
Man, you Italian monster. You put the ghoul in gabagool. You look like the Joker, but you just don't have a steady enough hand for the makeup.
Maybe I should help you do yours. Grace does her shopping at the Big and Tall store because there isn't a Dumb and Whore store.
Dan told me he never played sports, but doesn't he look like he has a white belt? At least to accessorize with all his white robes.
Yeah, KKK, karate, karate, karate. Here we go. All right, Grace is so tall that when she says my eyes are up here, guys are looking at her pussy.
Dan is so Dan is so stubborn. Like, he's the type of guy that would cut off his nose to spite his face if he had that kind of free time on his hands. Dan, if your nose was any bigger, people would start assuming you were funny. Dan told me that he slept with 5 women, which is crazy. Because I didn't know Make-A-Wish did that kind of Dan is actually what we call a Make-A-Wish adult. But it just means that he goes to kids' birthday parties and blows out the candles before Dan is a software engineer, obviously. Awesome that you get paid to do what you love, which is finding and killing bugs. He's a lot like a spider. He's as afraid of you as you are of him. A lot of people talk about Dan's mental illnesses behind his back. Or like, is it depression? Is it autism? And I'm here to put those rumors to rest.
didn't make your motherboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your mother. All right. 666, number of the beast. All right, now the prepared stuff. All right, Grace, you unlovable giant. Yes, the only way you'll ever have a kid is if one climbs your beanstalk. Yes. Grace is Scottish. Yes, she resembles a dude named Scott. P5 bump. Grace smells the blood of an Englishman. Grace is so big and mid that when she says me too, she's just measuring her size in people. Me too. I wouldn't touch Grace with a 10-foot pole, honestly. Yeah, which sucks because a 10-foot pole is the only way she can get herself off. Grace used to play basketball in the movie Joanna Man. Yes, Grace played 5-on-5, which is when she competes with another 5. So real quick, I do understand consent. Yes or no is just binary. Alright, here's what we got. Grace majored in geology. Yeah. She studied lava hoping to learn to be hot. But instead she's just ashy, smells bad, and belongs underground.
Dan actually performs at this club because I think they get a tax credit for letting special boys like him do his jokes.
Thank you, Wednesday Adam's Apple. I'm not just going to stand up here and call Grace a man, but also there's no way a man would call Grace.
It's interesting. I get a lot of trans jokes, and maybe my gender is confusing, but you're clearly a boy. Like, no one would ever mistake you for a man.
On this topic, actually, Grace did recently come out as queer. Yeah. Yeah, because despite being a gruesome giant, she still wasn't getting enough attention.
A lot of people say that what Dan does on stage is an act. But it's impossible to confirm because nobody hangs out with Dan off stage.
Grace is into BDSM. Yeah. Yeah. She loves getting tied up by the tiny people in Gulliver's Travels.
You anemic sociopath. You look like if, what the fuck is that? You look like if Steve Buscemi fucks the sloth from the Goonies.
This is impressive, actually. Grace has only been doing comedy for a year. Yeah. As a matter of fact, her comedy is a lot like a newborn baby. It's annoying, makes her less attractive to men, and should perform in a hot car with the windows up. Look out, boys.
Dan, I was really nervous to roast you because I don't want to be on any list you're making. You look like a serial killer with a gluten intolerance.
Well, same question to you because you were there
Yeah.
for this battle. So watching it back, was it same as in the room? Who did you vote for?
I think so. So that battle actually was, I believe, the first draw. They don't do draws there.
Yeah.
What happened was I thought pretty clearly Dan edged the first round. I thought Grace dominated the second round. And to me, the third round was very, very close. I had Dan edging it because I felt like Grace slipped up on the Steve Buscemi sloth from the Goonies joke. And frankly, and this is what we talked about with Leah earlier, where like you hold somebody these like high standards, like, and she's writing 13 jokes. But even that one, I'm just like, that feels like a roast battle, like 101, like very first battle. Like, you look like ugly person fucked other ugly person.
Yeah.
And I even said to her in the judging, I'm like, did you mean to tell that joke? It almost felt like she slipped up and like just pulled random like word. I don't know. But so based off of that joke, I edged it to Dan. And it was a weird thing because I thought Dan edged the first and third, and I thought Grace dominated the second. So if we're looking at the totality, I think Grace actually scored more points. But by the letter of the law, I had it 2-1 Dan in terms of rounds. Second judge gave it to Grace, and then Robbie Goodwin, former LA comic, he's out in New York now, he couldn't make a decision, and he pushed for one more joke when they had already done 13, and the checks had been dropped, and the host was like, no, fuck that, we're all going home.
Yeah.
So I had no problem with the call of a draw. I thought they both performed very, very well. I thought the hit rate, again, you're not going to get 100% on 13 jokes, but I thought it was very, very high. I was really impressed with, the writing and everything. The performance, talking about Dan, how like energetic and weird he is on stage in the best way. I really, really liked it. I stand by my decision. I think I would have edged it to him. But it's even closer on camera, and it felt really, really close in the room. And overall, I thought Grace had the bigger hits in the middle.
Yeah, I would say I support the draw in that I think your assessment of the first and third rounds are 100%. I think Grace did stumble a little bit at the end of the third round. I like the draw because of how strong Grace's second round was. And then also, she had a lot more variation in topic.
She did.
Than Dan. Dan kind of hit Grace's size. I think, from my knowledge, it sounded like on every joke, but I might, be wrong. But one of the other things I noticed was what we talked about earlier about doing that many jokes. I did not get bored this time.
Yes.
They kept me engaged. Even though Dan hit the same topic, each joke was different. They weren't the same structurally, other than it was the same feature of Grace that he was making fun of. The topic, I guess, was different on every time.
Yeah.
And Grace hit every fucking angle. And
she did. She definitely had more variety. And it's funny, like you mentioned that, and I usually think I have a pretty discerning eye for battles. Like I'm pretty on the ball and picking up on stuff like that. And I'm like, as you're saying that, I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, no, he must have done other jokes about other stuff. Did he really do 13 jokes just calling her big the whole time? And I didn't even like catch it, which is a testament to how strong the jokes were.
100%.
Because if they weren't hitting, I think everybody would have crushed him for that.
100%. Yep.
Everybody would have crushed him. And we didn't because he kept the crowd laughing.
100%.
And that is ultimately like all the stuff that we break down and like, well, that joke's been done before. And like, well, that structurally is blah, blah, blah. If you make the crowd laugh, that's all that matters.
100%. Yep.
Right? And they both made the crowd laugh. But if I watched it a third time now, I feel like I'd have a more critical eye towards Dan's approach. And that could be the deciding factor. I'm not mad at anybody thinking either person won. Like I said, they're two of my favorites. I was glad I got to see it. And they did awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I am still terrified of both of them.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the way Grace in that second round, every joke tied into the next joke. It was a perfect flow. And the little pauses at the right moments.
Yeah.
Before the Make-A-Wish thing, she just let the crowd laugh at the setup of Dan's had sex with 5 women.
Yep.
Like, take all the time you need to laugh at that, and then I'll hit it with the punchline. It's going to be even better. And then in the third round, when she was like, the club gets a tax credit for letting special little boys do their jokes.
So good. That was so insulting and demeaning, but like delightful, and yeah.
You know what
really
the
great
most
performance.
insulting joke was to me? When she said, some people think, Dan, this is an act. And he's not like this off stage, but nobody hangs out with him off stage, so we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that one hurt me.
I will say I've hung out with Dan off.
It's
off
not
stage.
an act.
No, actually.
Oh, you think? Ooh.
He seemed, but I mean, we were sitting down, so maybe if he was standing up, he would have been fidgeting more. But he seemed pretty settled.
I think, yeah. I mean, all right, in terms of the movement, I definitely think he, like, it's like shadow boxing or something. Like, he gets in the zone. And we noticed in Grace's second round, and I commented on it when I was judging, like, you saw his, like, autistic superpowers, like, wiped away. He, like, stopped bouncing and giggling and everything and was just, like, standing there. And I was like, oh, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is terrifying.
It's off-putting when he's not
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Two of the best. Grace is over in New York full time now. She's kicking ass over there. Dan is
I did not know that.
Yeah, absolutely. She moved to New York. She's doing really, really well. It's still insane to me. She's like less than 2 years into comedy in general.
We did it wrong.
We sure did.
Yeah.
We came up before roast battle was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. These damn kids today don't know how good they have it. All right, let's take a second to look at the rankings before we get out of here. Now, we haven't put the rankings up yet, but we are now a month into the season. As a reminder, 2 teams from our international division and 2 teams from our U.S. division will make the playoffs. More information still to come on what that looks like. But for now, let's take a look at the standings. You see international right here, and based on the strength of their performance today, Scotland, an expansion team, actually jumps into first place. Now, this one is a little bit skewed because Tokyo has not run an event yet during the season. They have one coming up. And Australia, I believe, just ran their big event last night. So we're going to be seeing a lot of Australia. But the 4 cities that we have seen, Scotland is in first place with 8 points. London and Toronto tied for second with 7. And then Barcelona sort of bringing up the rear there with 5. I still think London is the team to beat in this division. They've been sending me a lot of stuff. I just felt like they got edged out this week by Scotland and some of the other ones we saw, but consistent, great across the board stuff from them. I've also been really impressed with Toronto so far.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, and now we go to the United States.
I wasn't ready for you to throw it to me. I thought you were just gonna wrap up with the rankings, and I was just gonna sit here and nod. And
Yeah,
when you did,
no,
I was
that's
sorry. I was already thinking about what I wanted for dinner.
Well then, let's get out of here. Let's just run through these, and we'll go eat some dinner. We got a show coming on. What time is the show, by the way? Do you know?
7:30.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
All right, we really got to get through this. Then let's end this thing. New York, based on the number 1 battle today, jumps to the lead in the U.S. division. They have 9 points. Los Angeles hasn't been higher than 4th place in any episode, but they've managed to accumulate 6 points. The Bay Area and Chicago are right there with 5, and then Austin and Denver are actually right off screen there with 4. It is neck and neck in the U.S. Exciting stuff. I'm, looking forward to seeing who comes out on top on this thing.
Can't wait.
Great. Let's go eat dinner.
Let's do it.
All right. RBL Weekly. Thanks, guys.